Okay, another big issue is how do you generate interest from schools that you're interested in? So starting this process, we recommend as freshmen and sophomores, you're already starting to think about this college process. As sophomores or sometimes freshmen, you start to create a rough list of schools that you think athletically, academically, that you would be a good fit for. And ideally anywhere between 10 to 30, sometimes even 50 schools if you want to create a large pool of potential schools that you're interested in. But usually 20 to 30 is what we recommend. And as part of this list of 20 to 30, what you're going to want to do is visit each of these schools' websites and find out, not only where their rosters are at and your specific position, or how many seniors they have and where they're at in their process of graduating, seniors, and maybe what they'd look at, replacing in the upcoming recruiting class, or the recruiting class that's dedicated to your son and daughter's grad year. So, for instance, let's say you're a sophomore, which would make you a 2012 graduate based on today's time. So you'd look at where, let's say, the college program is at and what players are freshmen and sophomores currently, and where they're strong and where they're weak at. Those players are going to be graduating, by the time you're a senior. So that's going to best position you to get an idea. Other things related to generating interest. Obviously, top showcases and top tournaments are key components, to getting interest. Just making sure that if you're investing in one of these camps or showcases or tournaments, that you make sure that there's going to be ideally anywhere between 20 to 30 or more college programs there to make it worth your time and effort and worth your money. And then also making sure that it's during an active recruiting, calendar session. So if you go to the NCAA website, you'll see in the student athlete guide for college-bound student athletes, you can see what the recruiting calendar looks like for each specific sport. And make sure that if you're traveling to a tournament or playing in a tournament, make sure that it's an open date for their recruiting calendar and they're able to travel to it. The other big thing is when you're going to these tournaments and showcases, look at the tournament or showcase website and figure out what colleges are going to be attending and which of those colleges match your target list, or which of those colleges might you add to your target list. Contact through email each of those coaches that you're interested in as part of that coach's attendant list, and email them directly and say, I'm playing with, let's say, SoCal Explosion softball, and here's our schedule, here's my position, here's my uniform, here's a link to my profile, or here's a attachment to my stats. That way they get an idea of who you are, your team, what your schedule's like, and again, they can make that itinerary and schedule you in as part of their recruiting visit to evaluate you during that tournament or showcase. It's key. The other big thing is, let's say you've got a list of 30 schools, and now you're moving into your junior year, and you've narrowed it down, the spring of your junior year, and you've narrowed it down to your top 10 schools. And what you've done is you've created, as part of that list of 30, you created 3 different categories. Schools that would be in your reach category, which is your top phenomenal choices of schools, which might be reserved for, let's say, the top 10 schools. Then you have another category or group of schools that's more of your target schools. That would be a good all-around fit for you or for your son or daughter, and that might be another 5 to 10 schools. And then you have your backup group, which is schools that might be lower level division schools, might even be potential junior colleges, and that would be a backup group, again, 5 to 10 different schools. And with each of those categories, you're going to be clear as part of this recruiting process on how much time you invest in researching. If it's a reach school that's a top school and target school that you're dealing with, you're likely going to spend more time researching that school. The other things, in terms of generating exposure, obviously having a highlight video, having an online profile, having that video being able to be streamed, that's why we're in business. We provide a one-stop shop for an online resume with all your athletic and academic information, a highlight video, and game plan around marketing yourself and generating exposure, and having a step-by-step approach to how you maximize your college recruiting exposure. If you're a family, that is on a very tight budget, we do offer opportunities, scholarship packages and financial aid programs for those type of families. If you're a family that just wants to do it as a complete do-it-yourself and do it all yourself, what we recommend is, you have the ability, you can upload videos to YouTube, you can use some of the editing tools, through software that you either purchase or that you try to download, and you can do this yourself. It does take a lot of time, it does take a lot of effort, and often it takes you being educated on this process or learning how to do this. Our advice is outsource this process to a trusted group, and that's what we do, and that's why we're in business. Outsource your stress, outsource the video editing, the custom profile making process to a professional group like ourselves that's going to really take your game to the next level, maximize this exposure opportunity, and keep in mind, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for your son or daughter. And, for a few $100 investment that you're able to build this resume and this profile, we think it's well worth, the thousands of dollars that you invest in your son or daughter as part of this competitive sports career. And our website goes into much more detail on that. And I urge you to visit and take a look at some of the samples and some of the testimonials and some of our success stories that we've had.